this is your first time tuning in, I'm Nita. You can find me on Instagram and on YouTube as Neatly Planned. Is where I share my love of planning and paper crafting and how I plan my crazy life. I'm a working mom, I'm married, and I do a lot of things. So planning has really been essential to my life in keeping me organized and on schedule for everything. I'm really excited about today's class. Today is about having a wellness or creating a wellness mindset. For me, wellness is not just from the physical aspect, but it's like whole wellness. So hopefully today I'm going to tell you guys about some different types of wellness, show you how you can include them in your planner through including maybe like a fitness planner or just some additional sheets that you can add to your planner going into the new year to help you have a better overall wellness in your life. So we're going to flip to the overhead and we're going to get started. Really excited. So a couple of things I'm going to just share with you guys, kind of a list of things that I'll be using, just kind of a supply list if you want to write them down so that maybe you can use them later. Of course, an ink pen, I have a pair of scissors. I will be using my Happy Planner Punch. And then here are the sticker books that I'll be using today if you just kind of want to write them down. I'll be using Happy Goals, Essential Planning, Digital Detox, and then we are going to grab a couple out of the Fun Florals. So those are the 4 sticker books that I will be using if you just kind of want to jam out with me on planning. And then we will also, I'm going to show you kind of how you can use, these are meal planning sheets from the meal planning companion pack, but you can also just use a regular piece of paper or half sheet. It doesn't have to be these meal planning cards, but I'll show you a way you can have these as well. And then we'll be using some filler paper. These are 2 different half sheets. We're going to jump into those. And then also I will be using, these are just some scratch pieces of paper. What are these called? Just cardstock that I cut up. And then a couple of these are pocket cards, old pocket cards, but mainly just scrapbook paper that I had that we'll be using to make some affirmation cards. So that's all the supplies that I'll be using. I'm going to try to keep it simple. The different layouts that I'll be showing you in planners today will be, this is the fitness planner, so the fitness layout, and this just a mini and a classic size. Okay. And then the other thing that I'll be showing, just if you're writing a list, will be Stephanie Fleming's journal. So this is from the Plan a Happy Life collection. So this is just the reflection journal. Okay.
So we have a question. What was the 4th sticker set and what size is your cardstock?
Cardstock, I don't know what size this is. I can measure it though. I'll measure it and tell you guys in just a second.
Okay.
But the 4 sticker books, I'll show them all. So if you want to take like a screenshot of them. So that's the Essential Planning, Happy Goals, Digital Detox, and Fun Florals are the 4.
Awesome, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. So the first thing that I start when we think about, or that I think about when we talk about wellness, for me, I always feel like your wellness really begins with creating a great morning routine. And you say, Nita, a morning routine for wellness? Yes. I always believe that your morning kind of sets the tone for your day. But really, your morning routine really begins at night. Setting yourself up for success at night. And so I'm going to kind of show you guys a sample. This is the one that's filled in that we're going to create, but I'm also going to show you how you can take even just a regular sheet of paper and turn it into this kind of fold sheet as well. So if you have just a regular classic size piece of paper, you can just fold it over and you get this exact same style. So if you don't have this filler paper, don't worry. Just take a classic sheet of paper, fold it in half, and then you get that fold out, okay? So when we're talking about a morning routine, some of the things that I like to do starting my morning, just kind of setting me up for success, things that I do at night. I always pack my evening bag or my work bag that I'm going to use the next morning. I lay out my clothes and my daughter's clothes for work. And then for me, I'm a coffee drinker. So I fill up my Keurig. I get my coffee, I fill it up with water. I prep her breakfast. I will prep my breakfast. Usually I make sure that I pack some type of snack in my work bag. So whether that be a granola bar, maybe, some mixed nuts. I work in healthcare, and so I don't always get a break. So I like to have just a little something to keep my blood sugar up. These are all the things that I do at night. And it really sets me up for success in the morning. The worst thing that you can do is, hit the snooze, oversleep, and then you're scrambling in the morning. So some of the things, and we're just going to write this out. Of course, we're planners, so we want it to be cute. So we're going to take some of these fun florals, and I'm just going to show you guys how you can decorate it. If you don't want to decorate it, that's fine. But this fun florals, again, you can grab any sticker. I usually tend to grab the bigger stickers because it just makes the planning quicker. So just this big sticker here, and we're just going to cut it along the side. And I always say too, if you want to utilize your writing space, put your decorative things towards the edges of your pages. Okay, so I'm just laying that there. And then we're just going to take that other piece and put it up top. Okay, so simple as that, adding to our page to kind of give it a flair. And I like having my morning routine on a half sheet just so I can pop it in my planner and that I can see it. So that is part of my morning routine. And when I start my day with quiet time. I wake up early, I have a toddler. My husband and I are both working from home. So I like to start my morning with just some personal quiet time, whether you are spiritual, you like to meditate. For me, I like kind of having a little devotional time. So that's the first thing that I do. I start my day with quiet time. And it doesn't have to be, oh, go ahead.
I call it my coffee time.
Your coffee time? So
Yep.
I call it my quiet time. I will read maybe my devotional. Sometimes I just like to journal. If I had things on my mind the night before, I just kind of like to write them down. So I start with quiet time. And then I just kind of will do a quick brain dump for the day. And so that's when, for me, if I have this half sheet here, I will also make a running to-do list for that day. And so that half fold is just kind of my running to-do list. I prioritize it by my most important things, but I do that right after my quiet time. If I read my devotional, then I do my, basically my task list for the day. Things I may need to do for work, things I maybe need to do for the house, and then things for my daughter that needs to get done in the evening. Okay, so I start with my brain dump, and then we're planners, so I review my plans. So I open up my planner and I look at what I have for the day. I always say planning, you have to kind of make it a habit. So for me, my morning routine includes opening up my planner to see what I have. Then I can add additional things, maybe something that didn't get done the day before, I can add it to my running to-do list. So I review my plans. And then the next thing I do, because we're talking about wellness, I drink water. I love coffee. I love caffeine, but I need to get my water in. So before I have my first cup of coffee, I try to at least have at least one bottle of water. Now, however many ounces, depending on what type of bottle of water you get, but it's usually around 16 to 17 ounces of water for a water bottle. So I try to drink one bottle of water, and then I can treat myself to my coffee. And also trying to do on the wellness. For the last month, I've been drinking black coffee because I would rather have like my dessert instead of having my dessert in my coffee. So, compromise. So drink my bottle of water, then I can have my cup of coffee. And then, of course, after I do that, I get dressed and then I check emails. You say, Nita, well, why do you do that last? As far as like getting ready in the morning? Because for me, what I used to do, and we're going to talk about that, I used to literally, when my eyes open, grab my phone off the nightstand and start looking at it. But what I found was the first thing that I do, if I'm checking emails right away, it kind of sets the tone for my day. So, again, automatically people are demanding things from you and you're looking at all the things that you have to do, or, everything's an emergency. And it would kind of put me in a mood. And I didn't realize that was happening. So I'm taking control of my morning. I want to set the tone. I want to kind of get in my vibe of what I want the day to be before it gets hijacked by emails. So once I've kind of prepared myself, then I'll check emails. And then if anything else needs to be added to my to-do list, I will add it. So Then when I get into my afternoon, I on my Apple Watch, it has a timer on there for me to get up and stretch. So I get up, it tells me like it's usually about every hour or so to get up and stretch. It seems silly, but really when you're sitting, especially working from home, you need to get up and get the blood circulating. It's a mood booster, and it really helps me to kind of refocus, take my mind if I'm too focused in on work or I'm not feeling like I'm being productive. Those stretches really allow me to come back and refocus. So get up and stretch. If you have the opportunity to get out and get some fresh air, walk outside for a second, clear your mind, and then come back to it. All right, the next thing that I do in the afternoon, I get lunch. You say, well, everyone eats lunch. I get lunch without working. I'm a recovering workaholic. And I used to do working lunches. One, my food was not digesting well. Two, I didn't feel like I was getting a break. And when you work straight like that, you're not being as productive. Like I need fuel. And what I was doing was I'll take a couple bites and then I'm just working. And that's putting me on the back burner. I'm giving work 100%, but I'm not fueling my body. I need to eat. So I need to step away from work to do that. And I feel better after I've taken a break and when I come back. So eat lunch without working. I also had to actually set a timer to remind me to take lunch. If you are a workaholic or a mom staying at home, like you make sure that everyone is taken care of and you sometimes put yourself on the back burner. So sit down, actually have lunch. Maybe it's not going out to lunch, but making time for yourself to actually eat lunch. Same way with breakfast, eat something, even if it's, I'm like, I'm not hungry in the morning. But what I found is when I force myself to have something, I feel better further in the day. So get lunch without working. And then for me, I listen to either podcasts during work or soft music. And for me, the podcasts are great. I'm a TED Talk girl, but you want to find things that are fueling positivity for you. So for me, I'm a life learner. So listening to podcasts, one, I'm learning something or learning about something. And then also too, maybe it's a professional development. So maybe I'm listening to a podcast for work that will help me to grow in what I'm doing, or it's teach me about something, or even, when we're talking about wellness, someone who has figured it out. You can learn from someone who's someone who's already doing the things that you're trying to do. Okay. And then the last thing that I do kind of midday, I do affirmations. And this is really important for me. I do a lot of self-talk. I work a high stress job. I work in organ donation. And so we're literally meeting people on the worst days of their lives. And so it's really important for me to do affirmations because it's really tough. You're all in, we're vested when we're doing that life-saving work, but I have to remind myself of my whys. Why am I doing this when I'm tired, when I'm exhausted? Same way with when I'm at home and working, I've worked all day and then I come home, I want to give the best to my family. So saying those affirmations for me are very important. I do a lot of self-talk, even on the tough days. I say, it's not a bad day, it's a character building day. It may sound cliche, but it really helps me to adjust for the things that I can't control. So doing those affirmations. And then in the evening, I always like the end of the day, even though I'm working from home, I like to clean up and tidy my workspace. This is your night routine, and it's helping to set you up for success for the next day. If you come back to a workspace that's cluttered and disorganized, it makes you feel disheveled as your day is going on. So I always say the rule of thumb is to clean up and tidy up your space. Even if it's something that you're going to come right back to the next day, just kind of gather things together, organize it, and then also put them in the order that you want to work on them the next day. So clean and tidy your workspace. The next thing, review your planner to make sure, if something didn't get finished that day that needs to be completed, that you're moving it over to the next day. And then lay out those clothes again. What I found has been really beneficial for me during the pandemic, especially working from home, is to get dressed. Put on a face. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not on a Zoom call. But again, my grandmother used to tell me as a young girl, when you look better, you feel better. and it is a mood booster. And so just getting up, I was in like everybody else at the beginning of the pandemic. I had on my loungewear, my sweatshirts, but I wasn't being productive. And so actually getting dressed, putting on some jeans and a sweater, it allowed me to feel like I'm at work. And so that really helped me to increase my productivity. So laying out my clothes, and then I do a little self-care. I feel like we use self-care loosely, but again, I shower and then I do a skincare routine. And that just kind of helps me to de-stress. Of course, showers, hygiene. So I don't necessarily count that as self-care. And then the final thing that I do, I will journal. And this is really key to my overall wellness is to journal. Like I got to get it out. Like I got to get it out of my head. I won't rest well until it's down on paper, whether it's my to-do list for the next day or just how I felt overall. And that's really important because you will also see if you have journaled for an extended period of time, or if you're new to journaling, what you will see if there's something, you will see common threads or trends. You know, maybe if I'm doing a particular thing or I'm working with a certain group of people, they can cause extra stress and anxiety. And we're going to talk about that too. But journaling those things, how you felt, what went on that day, those are all key points to help you to pinpoint if there needs to be some changes in your overall environment. Okay. And then the last thing that we do in my daily routine is to unplug. I unplug, which means I turn off the notifications on my phone. I basically set it to a do not disturb. So I don't get phone calls, and on my phone, I can set who those emergency calls can come through, but I unplug. And this is really important because if you're consuming constantly, you don't have time to unwind. So that's kind of my morning routine, evening setup. And basically, I put this in my planner. You can do a running to-do list on the back of it, or if you want to do an unfold where you have your to-do list and then your plans for the day, you can do the same thing morning, afternoon, evening. If you don't want to add extra sheets and you use a vertical planner, you can take one of those boxes and divide it between your morning, afternoon, and evening. So there's ways to incorporate this in your planner if you don't want to add extra sheets. So taking one of those boxes or that sidebar on your planner, you can do the same thing and write out your morning routine for the week on that sidebar in your regular planner. So you don't have to add sheets if you don't want to. This is just what works best for me. Okay. So now that we kind of have our morning routine, we've set the tone for what we want to accomplish, what we want to do. I like to move into what I call like the physical wellness. And so for the physical wellness part of this, we're going to look at the fitness planner and just kind of things that I track and how I track them in my planner. If you don't want to use an additional planner, you can use that same half fold sheet that I showed you guys and how you can incorporate that in your planner. And I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so right away when we look at this sheet, we see it has 4 boxes. So it's broken up from like your traditional layout. So it has today, your focus, your food log, and exercise. So for me, I'm going to hack this a little bit, and I'm going to cover up some of these titles and make them work for me. Again, any planner, I always tell people, you don't have to use it the way that it's assigned. You can customize it and make it your own. So whatever works for you, you can do that. You're not held to what those boxes are. For me, when I think of wellness, for me physically, I like to track steps, not so much workouts, but just like my overall steps. I know I'm moving around, I'm not going to a gym, but I can track my steps every day. And so I'm just going to put step boxes here. And if you don't have stickers, that's fine. I'm just adding these stickers. You can just write it out. Typically, my fitness planner or wellness is just usually pen to paper. It's not a bunch of stickers. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you just want to write it down so you can look back at it at the end of the week. So you can take the same, if you have that half fold sheet that I was telling you guys, you can do the same and lay it out and do like a box, like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then do these same things that we're doing across the board, just all in one box, for example. So I'll show you guys an example once I lay these. So for me, I'm going to track my steps in this focus, and this won't be focused. I'm actually going to track my sleep in here. I told you guys I am a recovering workaholic. And so sleep, and I had a toddler that we just got sleep trained. So I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. And for the work that I do, I need to be on, and I need to be able to be alert. And when I don't get good rest, I'm no good. So sleep is very important to me, and I like to track it. When I used to have a Fitbit, it would tell me, how, if your sleep was restless or if it was, disrupted, and I didn't realize how much I was moving in my sleep. So I wasn't getting sound sleep. So I'm just cutting this arrow off of here, and I'm just going to write sleep in here. Of course, we hope to get 8 hours a day, but I don't always get that. So for me, I'm going to track sleep. And I would say all of these things are connected. Your physical wellness, your emotional, your spiritual, your occupational wellness, financial, all of these things are intertwined. And so I'm going to try to hit on how these different areas connect and why we're looking at this. Because when you think of a wellness mindset, of course, we automatically think, okay, that's the emotional, but the physical things affect that. If we're tired, if we're not feeding our body good fuel, those affect our emotional state as well. So sleep, when I track sleep, I'm not only writing down how many total hours, so I'm going to be tracking total hours.
So they want to know what pens you're using.
Yes, I'm team black pen. And so this pen is the Pilot G27. It is a gel. It is super smooth. This is not a Pilot promotion, but it's my favorite black pen. And I actually started using these. My job provided them, and it has just been my go-to pen. I've literally been using this pen, these pens for 4 years.
Yes,
my
I think I color code everything.
See, it's my go-to pen. So when I track my sleep, I track total hours of sleep that I got, but I also write down what time I went to sleep. And for me, like yesterday, I was up planning. My daughter went to sleep, and I was up, prepping for class, and then I was watching movies. I was up yesterday until 1 a.m. So I would write that down. I went to bed at 1 a.m. So total sleep, I was back up at 8 this morning. So I didn't get a lot of sleep. But that's important. So those things, those can affect your mood. If you wake up and you're in a bad mood, well, it's because you got 4 hours of sleep. And so that's really important. So that's for me. If you don't want to track, for the box says focus. So, what is that one thing that you want to focus on for the day? Maybe it's, okay, I want to, try to be positive today, or I want to, get up and move around. I want to do 30 minutes of activity. That also could be an area in that focus box that you kind of write a goal for yourself that day. That also is in the wellness realm. And so for me, I'm looking at total sleep, and then I'm also going to write my steps out for each day. Also, another thing that I like to track for myself, this is just me personally, I like to track total hours worked. For the month of February, I worked 21 days straight with my job, and that was insane. And so when we're talking about wellness, like, you need that work-life balance. And so for me, I like to track at the end of the week how many total hours I worked. That's just, it helps me. And then when I look at the food log, I don't track food necessarily. When I'm thinking of food, what I want to write down is what I had. So I just do like the breakfast. They have stickers for that too: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So BLD. And then I write out what I ate. Because too, if you're having like some food sensitivities, different foods affect your mood. So for lunch, if I had a lot of sugars or fried food, and then I felt crappy the rest of the day, I can look at this, go back to my wellness planner. It's like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have had that, deep fried, fish and French fries and hush puppies. Or, for dinner, maybe I skipped dinner. And so that's for me. For breakfast, I might say I had a smoothie. And then for these meals, I like to write down not only what I ate. I don't look at calories. I'm not looking at calories. I like to look at what I ate and when I ate it. Everything for me is time. So if I stayed up to 1, and then the day before I didn't have lunch, all I had was one meal. I had lunch and then I snacked. Those things affect your overall wellness. And so when I'm looking at that, I write what I had and then what time I had it. So maybe I had a smoothie at 8 a.m. And this day we worked late, so I didn't have lunch until, 5 p.m. That's not lunch, but that happens to me more times than not. So maybe I had lunch at 5 and I had a salad and, maybe, a half a sandwich. So again, if you are, having food sensitivities or things like that, it's a really good place for you to kind of log and see if certain things are causing you to feel bad. It's also if you're wanting to pay attention to maybe, if different things, if you're craving certain things at different times, maybe it's sweets and you're craving them, later in the evening or early in the morning, maybe you can curb those and maybe spread your meals out a little bit further. And then down here, it says exercise, but I don't necessarily want this to be exercise. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to.
So which book are you using right now?
This is the Essential Plans.
Okay.
It's Essential Planning, sorry. And then also here, I'm going to pull out these habit trackers. So I'm going to get 3. And I'm just going to use them on my sidebar. And I actually do this in my work planner too. I use habit trackers when it pertains to like work emails and things like that, something I have to do every single day. I like to use these habit trackers. And so when we're talking about wellness, I'm going to say my vitamins. And I'm just going to put B+ here. And then I'm also going to track here on, lost my train of thought, my vitamins here. And then I'm also going to track my water intake. So if there's something that you're looking to add, maybe I'm going to go for a walk every day, but just some type of, not necessarily exercise, but just something additional that you're planning to do every day. So even if that's your devotional time or reading every day, you can add that with a habit tracker instead of adding it as an additional box. And then also here, you can just journal like how your day was. Even too, you can do like a morning, midday, evening, as far as your mood, like when you woke up, how did you feel? Midday, did it get better? And then by the end of the day, how did you feel? That's a way that you can use it. They have like the emoji stickers. So I've seen people track that as well. And then some people also use this as just like a reflection of the day, just like a simple little, maybe, if you can summarize the day in one word, what would it be? And so some people use it like that. It also could be a way that you track like memory planning. So if something really great happened that day, or even, not great, but something that you did, maybe you splurged and got yourself a coffee and putting a little picture there instead of what that was. And then down here for the exercise, for me, I want to just track the one thing that I did for me today. And this is really important. As a mom, we give. I always say you can't give from an empty cup. My mom told me that. And so I want to write down the one thing that I did for myself. Because as a wife, as a mother, as an employee, I give 100% to all these different areas. But so frequently we forget to give to ourselves. So just writing down the one thing that I did for myself. Maybe it was, I splurged and got a Starbucks coffee instead of having coffee at home. Or, for me, it's maybe I waited to respond to that email to the next day. It could wait, just something that I did. And this also goes with setting boundaries, because I always feel like sometimes you can be too available to people, and that interferes with your overall wellness, your mental health, physical health, by being too available to people. So just here documenting the one thing that you did for yourself that day. And this is just kind of my way of how I use my wellness, or this is a fitness layout, but just how I use this as overall wellness.
So someone wants to know where you can get that planner.
This planner, you can get it at Michael's. This is available at Michael's, and I will show you the cover. It's a fitness planner, and it's the Make Healthy a Habit. And I love the rainbow disc.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. And so this is kind of like the physical. So this is the physical wellness, sleep, proper nutrition, activity, stretching. It's not about having this crazy like fitness workout plan. It's literally about creating a system that's functional and works for you. Just something that you're doing that, again, our physical things, even stress manifests in other ways. It can make you physically sick. So finding ways that we can do little things from the physical side that will help our overall mood, emotional well-being. So this is the fitness. fitness or wellness. Okay, so I'm gonna move this.
So someone is asking if you use more than one planner.
Yes, I'm working on my 2021 planner lineup, and it's basically going to be what we call in the planner community Franken planning. So just taking bits and pieces from different planners and making it work for me. And so that's basically you would take maybe 2 months or a month out of the different planners that you're going to use. So for me, it will be a wellness. I will have my journal, like a guided journal. I'll be using the faith guided journal, my fitness, and then I'll have social media all housed in one planner. And so that's kind of, and then I have a work planner that I keep separate. So those three, the guided journal, the faith, and then this wellness will be one. And then I have a work planner. That answers it. Okay, so moving on to like your spiritual, intellectual, and environmental like wellness. Creating spaces. So when I say spiritual, it's like whether you have a religious practice, you meditate, you journal, you do yoga. When I say intellectual, it's like what's stimulating you? Are you picking up a new habit? What are you doing to grow as a person? And then the environmental, that's your space, the space in which you live in, like keeping it organized, creating things that will be mood enhancers. During the pandemic, I became a plant mom because just being able to nurture that plant, helping it grow, seeing it physically grow. And it was a mood booster. And then natural light. Every morning when I wake up, I open up all the windows in my working spaces, in my bedrooms, in my house. Natural light affects my mood. I have to have it bright. It makes me want to get up, get moving. And so I encourage you, open up the lights. If you don't have natural, just bright sunlight that comes in, they have lamps that you can buy that will help to increase the mood in there. And so when we talk about wellness, a lot of people think, okay, self-care, self-care. But I make a list of things that I would like to do. And so for me, when I look at the monthly, I try to plan out some of those things. So I use my monthly to track financial. So financial wellness affects those physical aspects of wellness too. And so when I look at that, I have a running list. I'll show you guys of just things I would like to do. I always say if the stars aligned, if I wasn't crazy busy all the time, what is something that I would want to do just for me? That's not kid focused. That's not for my husband. That's not for work. What would Nita want to do? And so I try to plan some of those things out in my monthly layout. And it's kind of almost like a self-care bingo, I like to think of it as. So even though I'm writing them down here, I may not do it on that exact day, but at a glance, I can look at them. And so based on what's happening that day or that week, I can pick something that's already here. And I kind of like to check it off. So I kind of just will do, I'll show you guys. So we're just going to plan this out. And so one of the things on mine every Sunday without fail is my Unplug day. I don't post on social media on Sundays unless it is like if I'm sharing like a devotional or something that I'm doing. And so for here on Sundays, I always put my Unplugged. So this is the digital detox. They have tons of Unplugged stickers in here. But I think for me, I'm a visual person. So seeing it on my planner is just a reminder, like I can look forward to being unplugged that day. And I always say we consume so much, and that leads to us feeling that comparison syndrome. We compare ourselves to what other people are doing. So it's important to unplug or detox so that, you can kind of work on you a little bit. And so for me, that's family time. I use that time just to relax. And so I'm just taking some of these unplug stickers and I'm just going to actually, there we go. And I plan off center. So if you're one of those people that you like to plan within the lines, I may, it may bother you a little bit. But so for me, these unplug stickers, I'm putting them at the top. One, because I also want to write things in my box. So having it above allows me to still have my writing space. If you know anything about me, I like to have all the writing space that I can get. Okay. So I would say, even if you don't unplug, one whole day every week, maybe you designate, an hour every day where you're going to be unplugged. For me, what I found, especially during my workday, I had to turn my notifications off during my working hours because I would get a notification and I would, end up on social media and 30 minutes has passed or an hour has passed and I've wasted time that I can't get back. And so to keep with productivity and just to keep me in a good mental space and focused on the task that I'm working on, I try not to check social media. So on Sundays, I'm unplugged 100%. So then I get to my wellness bingo board. And I like to just kind of put a couple things in there. So for me on Tuesdays are my plant days. I'm a plant mama to you guys. So I water my plants every Tuesday. That's I fertilize them. Sometimes I will repot them if they need to be repotted. And so I'm just putting these little water plant stickers on my Tuesday. It just makes it pretty, but it's something that I look forward to. And then I will write what plants they are. I have a total of 8 plants. And so certain plants, they get watered every other week. And so usually every Tuesday, though, I will spritz them with water, but my big plants get watered every other week. So I have my water plant stickers there. And then here I say clean house. These are the clean house stickers, but I'm not really cleaning house. When I look at this, I like to organize things. So once a week, I want to organize one area of my house. This keeps you from feeling like you need to do a deep clean or overhaul where you're cleaning multiple spaces all at once, and then you just feel overwhelmed with cleaning. What I have found is if you break it down, you feel less overwhelmed with it. So once a week, I pick a room or area in my house where I will do a deep clean of that space. So for this first week, I'm going to, it says clean house, but we're not, but it's just cute. So we're going to clean and we're going to designate what space that is. So this will be our master closet. My husband and I share a closet. So, things get pulled down and, we like to try on multiple outfits and things like that. And typically on Wednesdays are my cleaning days, just because that tends to be the day that usually my meetings, are shorter. And so I will have an hour or two where I will have before I pick up my daughter for daycare. Okay. And so then on this day, I like to designate where those will be. So on this day, I'm going to purge my office.
So we have Candace who asked, how do you refuel or readjust when your day gets hijacked?
Yes. So
by all those things we can't plan for.
Yes. All the things we can't plan for. Yes. So I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to finish this and I'm going to show you guys just some of those things that I do, my affirmations and the self-talk. And I'm going to show you some things that you will be able to make. We're going to use those cards that I showed you guys. We're going to use those to reset and be able to refocus. Okay, so as I'm planning these things out, there's other things that I like to put in here that help. So things like pay it forward. How many of us have gone to Starbucks and the person ahead of us paid for our drinks? I'm usually on the receiving end of those. And so I like to start them from time to time too. Or maybe I'm at the grocery store. I look for an opportunity to be able to just, pay it forward or sow some good. So I usually try to pick at least one day out of the month where I'm going to intentionally pay it forward. So let's just say we're going to pick the 28th because that is we call it my family's lucky number. But either all of our children are born on the 28th or our birthdays, the sibling birthdays add up to 28. So we're going to say we're going to pay it forward. Okay. And so again, we're not planning something every single day because I think when people think of that where you're doing self-care every day, for me, that's not realistic the way that my life is set up and how busy I am. But I try to plan it maybe every other week where I'm doing something and I don't want to always feel like I'm spending money. Spending money or treating yourself is not always necessarily self-care. So just small things that I can do. And so things like, learn something new. We're all on YouTube, Michael's has all of these classes. So just learning a new hobby, I love stickers and paper, but maybe taking a painting class or learning crochet, or I want to learn how to sew. So those things, learn something new. And then also once a week, no TV. I'm like everybody during the pandemic, we're all binge watching shows, but just actually having no TV and just reading. I love books. I love reading, but I feel like I never have time to read, but I don't have time to read because I'm watching TV. So setting aside just one day a week where I'm just reading. No TV, and I'm going to read instead. Maybe not for hours, but hey, at least 30 minutes where I'm reading. So you guys get the idea of this. It's basically just lining out some things that you can do that just will contribute to you feeling better, making your space better in your home, to keep it organized, to help you not to feel overwhelmed with the tasks that you have in everyday life. No, go ahead.
You froze for just a second there.
Oh, did I unfreeze?
You're good now.
Okay, perfect. So this is just kind of your wellness bingo board. Think about some things that you really enjoy doing that bring you joy, and then actually schedule them and plan them out. But I would highly encourage, if you don't do all the purging and things like that, set aside time every week where you unplug. That is really important. Someone asked, how do you refuel? How do you refresh? Especially as a creative, sometimes we consume so much and it makes us think what we're doing or creating is not good when we're looking around. And I think that time where I'm unplugged, it just allows me to be inspired by maybe the art that I see. I still get physical magazines, and I take that time and I look through those magazines, get inspired by art or fashion, just seeing what else is out there. So I would encourage you during that time of unplug, just look around and find out, maybe trying a new recipe or just doing something different. So that is that. So we talked about how can we reset on a tough day. I'm looking for my cards. Okay, so these are really important to me. I started doing these after my husband and I, we had a loss. We lost our son at 20. I had him at 25 weeks, and it was really tough. It was a tough loss. It was unexpected. It was our first child. And I was like, how do I keep going? Because it's unexpected. It's a tough loss. I like to think, social media makes everyone believe that everyone's life is perfect all the time. It is literally, social media is the highlight reel of people's life. And of course, I'm Christian, I'm spiritual, but even if you're not, this could be something that you do as just maybe your favorite quote or an affirmation that you want to use. But for me, from the spiritual side, I use verses. And I know people think, if you are spiritual, it has to be all these verses all the time. But for me, it was really taking one verse once a week and just making that like my focal verse for the week. Literally one verse, and I would focus on it and I would reread it all week long, one verse. If you are not a Christian, you can take that one quote. Maybe you have an anchor quote for the week. The happy goals has tons of them. And so like this one, be present. Life is right now, live it. Nourish your mind, nourish your body, nourish your soul. That's something that you can say when those tough days or tough situations are coming up, something that literally in that moment that you can say to yourself to reset, refocus. Because again, I always say we can't control what is happening to us. We can control how we respond to it. And these may seem small or little to you guys, but in tough situations or situations where it's frustrating, they make a huge difference. So simply taking this pocket card, and I will measure this. I'll put it in my stories on Instagram because I haven't measured them, but I'm just punching this, and I like to punch them beforehand. So when I place my stickers or whatever I'm going to put on it, it doesn't disrupt the design of it. So I'm just punching this, and I'm going to take, let's see. Okay, so this one says, a little progress each day adds up to big results. I really like that one. Let's see what else. What other options do we have? And I think it's important that you find whether it be scriptures or quotes or affirmations that really speak to you for that week. So maybe you need to do a different one every week, or you just add to it. For me, I will add in a bunch of stickers, just add in my scriptures and layer them. And so I just kind of flip through each week. I add another one. And then going back, it's nice to look at the different verses that correlated with that week and what was taking place in my life that week when I go back and look at my journal, or what scripture I picked. Okay, so let's see.
So by the way, we have so many people in the chat saying thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I believe in being authentic, and I always say people feel like things are only happening to them. So I think it's important that we share our truth in whatever it is, because I always feel like sometimes it can help someone. So I appreciate you guys. Okay, so just like that had a little polka dot on it, and I feel like it was a nice contrast. And it just says, nourish your mind, nourish your body, nourish your soul. I also like to, I always say that I like to have what I call like growth statements in my planner. And those are simply like examples of those are like, I can get through anything. Focus on myself and not other people. When I got into corporate America after college, like I've always been a workaholic, and I felt like I was working so hard and nobody was working as hard as me. And it made me very frustrated at work. And one of the things my husband told me, he's like, stop expecting you from people. And so if I focus on me, it keeps me centered. But if I focus on what everyone's doing or what they're not doing, it can make me to be upset. And so sometimes you got to kind of have some of those statements that you can say to yourself. So I'm just going to take, and you can do it on either side, whether it's a printed side or not. I'm just going to take some stickers and kind of make one of those growth statements that I just said into a planner punch that I can put into my planner. So these are just fun things too, when you're looking for a way to like kind of have some creativity. Maybe, hey, my planner is all function and I don't have room for, a lot of decorative elements. Well, maybe making your affirmation cards or, your scripture card be the fun little creative element that you add to your planner for the week. I'm just cutting this. And you guys, I don't waste stickers, so I'm going to take this little scrap that I'm cutting and put it right back on our sheet. I used to call it the sticker graveyard. So I'm just going to write our growth statement, and I'm going to grab a green marker. I'm no calligrapher or, fancy writing, but I have learned to embrace and love my handwriting because, again, it's mine. It's unique to me. So whether you have like a fancy script or calligraphy, just, again, it's your planner. It's for you personally. So it doesn't matter if you have the best handwriting or not, just it's for you. And so I'm going to say success. I'm going to say talent comes with practice. When I first got into my line of work, it was a complete career change for me. And I used to think, I'm never going to learn all these things. It's so much to learn. But what I learned is like, it's repetitive. The more you do it, the better you become at it. And so sometimes we look at how well someone's doing it, but we don't know their backstory. Maybe they took classes or how long they've been working at it to perfect it. And so this is a great reminder for me, because I can't compare myself to people who have been in my line of work for 20 years. I have to remember, I have to keep working at it. I have to keep practicing and I'll get better at it. So that's one of the statements that I love. Talent comes with practice. And whatever statements that you want to write that will speak to you. And then again, you can get as fancy as you want. But this is just a fun way to add just some, really, really helpful things to your planner and really make it your own. You can go around and, again, I'm no calligraphy artist, but I just think these are fun. And these are also a great, de-stressor. It's not planner related as far as like my actual plans. It's just more of the creative.
So Dee wants to know if you add the scriptures daily or in advance.
The scriptures. So if I know it's going to be a tough day, sometimes when I'm doing my daily devotion, starting my morning routine, I will write out of scripture. But typically I will pick one scripture on Sunday evenings, and that's kind of like my focal scripture for the week.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And how much time is spent on creativity on making a planner, would you say?
So honestly, for me, I told you guys I'm a working mom. Most weeks I'm working like 55 hours. So I don't get a lot of time for planning. I'm lucky if I get maybe 30 minutes a week, to be truthful with you guys. Some people, they get to, I have a beautiful, craft space, but I don't get to spend time just making. So I'm lucky if I get, 30 minutes. A part of my crafting time, or not crafting time, but my planning time I get is really in the evenings, maybe once my daughter goes to bed, but by then, I just kind of want to hang out. I want to do things maybe with my husband or watch a show or read. And so I don't want to spend a lot of time. Now, sometimes maybe every now and then, maybe every other week or so, I may get, we'll have a sitter that may come and I might get 1 or 2 hours to myself to just create. I'm not necessarily planner related, but just to create, to do whatever I want to do creatively, because that's a really big part of just who I am as a person. It makes me feel good. It's part of just my overall wellness and mental health, things that I do to help me. And so I try to make time for that. I don't get to do it every week, but maybe every other week where I'll get an hour or two. But it's not about, how much time you get, even if you only get maybe 10 or 15 minutes. It's just what you do with the time that you do have. Don't feel bad if you don't have hours and hours. Some people are like, oh, I spent, had a whole day of planning. It's okay if you don't. What I've learned for me, our planning and our time, it evolves, in the different seasons of life that you're in. If you're, a working mom, you don't have as much time, or if you are, retired and crafting and you have all this time to plan, whatever time you have, just make the most of it. Okay, so once I have it done, I'm going to show you guys, I kind of just layer them in my planner. And also another thing that you could do just for like wellness, like you could create like a little mini like vision board in your planner. I've seen people use like their monthly pages. So like this monthly pages as kind of like a goal setting sheet for your month too. So things that maybe you want to accomplish, some goals that you want to set for yourself for the month. You just layer these, and I like that you just can flip them. They don't make your planner any bulkier, and they're just thin. And so you kind of have these affirmations as you're opening it up. I kind of call them like your reset emergencies. When you're having a tough day or a tough moment, or, someone has said something at work, or, you get, bombarded with a bunch of tasks, or kids bring you something last minute, and you're just like, mommy just needs a minute. Open up your planner, just take a deep breath, whether it be go outside, read your verse, and just take a minute. What I've learned too is like, I've had to embrace being still. And I think the pandemic is teaching all of us that we got to kind of take moments to be still. And this is a huge part of that, like just taking a moment, to sit quietly and read these things and kind of refocus and reshift. And hopefully it allows you to have a better afternoon, or if your morning started off rough, maybe the evening will be better. But I always try to tell myself like, it's a bad day. It's not a bad life. And so on our toughest days, just reminding ourselves like it will get better, and just using that self-talk to refocus.
I like it. And someone wants to know how you store your sticker books.
Okay, so I'll share that. So I'm currently going through some sticker sorting, but I actually like recently, could you pass me that one behind you? I'm currently storing them by the way that I grab them. And so, yeah, the whole thing. The sticker storage that currently sits on my desk right now and what books are in them, I pull my florals very frequently because I told you guys I like drawing on those big florals. And so I have my florals. I have budget because I pull that. That's part of my, I have the goals because I use that a lot for work. And then I always have like my colorful boxes because that's like my number one sticker book. So I sort them by function, like how frequently I use them. I'm using just the sticker storage box, but I stored them and organized them by how much I use them, the frequency of them. So if it's a sticker book, maybe it's, food or, maybe it's a wrong. Like I don't maybe pull those as frequently. And so I will kind of gather those together. Some people group them, by color or by subject. So like all of my seasonal books are together. Above me here, I kind of have all my Christmas in a just an easy pull so I can grab all my Christmas stickers right now because that's the season that we're in. I like to kind of have those things organized and pull. So when I do have that 20 minutes to plan, I'm not flipping through a bunch of sticker books trying to figure out what direction I want to go in. We'll flip it. You want to flip it? Can you flip it face so it's facing me? Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So I just kind of store them based on that, kind of like the categories. I like to keep them in that. And then this sticker here is all of like Disney and florals and like princess. So I kind of categorize them like that based on how I use them. Any other questions?
So everybody's loving your ideas. They love the vision board idea, and it's a bad day and not a bad life. I always tell myself it's one of my favorite movie quotes, but it can't rain all the time.
It can't rain. I always say it has to get better. It has to. I know 2020 is testing that, but it has to get better. One of the things that I used after our loss, it's a happy planner quote, but literally I choose joy. And people are like, how? But I literally told myself, I was like, I can't stay in this. The heaviness of grief was too much for me. And I always say, you choose joy. And it's in one of my pictures that hangs over my office. It's choose joy. It's a choice that I make every day. It's not always the easy choice. And it doesn't always feel good, but I choose it every day. And sometimes, no matter what life throws at us, we have to, roll with the punches and just constantly reset and remind ourselves that it will get better as long as I'm moving forward.
And someone would like to see your daily routine setup page again.
Yes. So this is my daily routine. We'll need to flip it over. Yeah. So this is the daily routine. So if you want to take a screenshot, so I'll just read it out to you again. It's quiet time. I get dressed. I review my planner. I drink my water before my coffee. I check emails. In the afternoon, I get up and stretch. I eat lunch without working. I listen to a podcast, and then I do my affirmations. In the evening, I clean and tidy up my desk. I review my planner, I lay out my clothes, I shower and do skincare or some kind of self-care. I journal and I unplug by 8.
Awesome. And someone wants to know, how do you do, like your daily wellness and when the day is crazy with deadlines and just overall hectic?
Yes. And so that's where it may have to be something that's small. Maybe I can't do, my 8-step skincare routine, but maybe it is, going back, maybe it's just like a 5-minute journal. Because even then journaling that I had that tough day can also be a reminder, like, hey, is there something that I could have done differently? When I look at like how I set up my daily sheet, is it something, maybe I needed to do time blocks that day to be more productive? There are things that I always say that I can improve and I want to try to figure out and adjust daily. That's why I review that planner daily. Maybe I overplan that day. And some things we just can't help. And guess what? Some days you just have to take a shower and go to bed and try it again the next day. But the goal is always to try to do something for self. And I used to say, I had a really good friend that challenged me one day and I was like, yeah, I took a shower. She's like, that's not self-care. That's basic hygiene. And, I think as moms and just as givers, nurturers, as people, we give so much and we want to make sure that everyone's taken care of. But we're not so good with taking care of self. And so just reminding, like, I want to do those things for other people. I want to be present as a mom. I want to be a great employee. I want to be a great spouse or partner, but I got to take care of me. So just finding those moments where you can just have, maybe it's 5 minutes of quiet time, or, maybe it's watching a show or a YouTube video, just something that will bring you joy. Maybe it's, I used to listen to comedy Spotify's, because again, laughter is good medicine. And I always say, when I smile more, I feel better. And so again, I made a post talking about my Christmas decorations. We put up our Christmas tree on November the 9th, because Christmas decorations are my jam. And when I came home to the Christmas lights, it was an instant mood booster. For me, having my plants, tending to them. I did a garden during the pandemic. So coming out after a stressful day, doing that gardening, going out there to harvest my plants or to water them, whatever you can do. Maybe it's going for a walk. Just on those stressful days, find something you can do. It doesn't have to be long, whether it's 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Literally, I have a 1 minute with Jesus. Literally, it's like a 1 minute devotional, but it is something that I'm doing for me.
I love it. My mom always told me you can't pour from an empty cup.
You cannot. And then what happens when you are empty? We tend to lash out at the people that we love, and they get the worst of us, not the people that has caused the frustration. And so, I try to be mindful of that. And my husband and I, we try to do check-ins too. I always said, one of the things when we talk about, I was saying one of those things is like having that weekly cleaning, so you're not piling everything on. But one of the things that we do our folding our laundry together, and that's when we talk and communicate. At the end of the day, we both hate folding clothes, and so folding the clothes together is a way for us to connect and to get a task done. So finding things that maybe you don't necessarily enjoy doing, but that you can make them into something else.
Thank you. And one last time before we go, the 4 sticker books that you used.
Absolutely. So I used the Digital Detox, I used the Essential Planning, I used the Happy Goals, Stephanie Fleming's Happy Goals, and Fun Florals.
Awesome. And everybody says they loved this class. It's one of the best ones they've ever been to, or the best one they've ever been to. So I think that's it for today for questions. Nita, for some reason, we cannot hear you at the moment. We lost your audio. We can see you. That's okay. Sorry, everybody, for any technical difficulties. At least it's the end of class, right?
What about now?
Oh, yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, all I was saying was, if you guys think of a question or something maybe specific to your planning style and you may want a suggestion on, DM me. I love when I can connect with people. This community has been amazing over the last 5 years. So if there's a way that I can, help you in your planning, don't hesitate to ask.
All right. Thank you so much, Nita.
Thank you guys. Bye.